I guess I should be doing something about this steering wheel. So I actually did. I actually emailed somebody that rebuilds steering wheels, and I told them I don't need it to be perfect. I don't care if this is probably Bakelite. I'm like, I don't need that. And just to let anybody know, if you want to have a good way to pull out the steering wheel using a conventional, because you have to use a harmonic balancer puller. Took these long braided bolts and I cut the heads off like that and just slid them in, and I put nuts on top. So that's basically it. So that's that. But the reason why I took off the steering wheel is because I took out the steering box. Now, there's nothing really wrong with it, but I just recently converted another car to electric steering, and that is what I'm going to do. So I got myself, after doing enough research and looking at different size units, I got a Nissan Cube unit because it goes to the left side. And I'm going to change the seal in this and take this apart. I got to take out the shaft anyway out of the unit. Something I have not done to a steering box. It's one thing I've never taken apart a steering box before. But ultimately I'm going to cut it. It's going to be welded in. All this is going to go back. And hopefully the piece I got is small enough that it... Because that's just it. I had to find the right type of unit that would let me keep all the original, shift linkage, because this does have a piece of rod that goes through this thing, so this is hollow. In the end, it's not going to, and forgive the mess, because this is all I am. I'm Mr. Mess. But I am 100% confident I can actually modify this to work either way. But like I said, I don't want to have to cut that up. But right now I'm going to go and start measuring and start cutting and taking this apart, and I'll show you what I'm doing. And I'm going to, in the back of my mind I have a plan already, but anybody who tells you that if you have a steering column that has the horn contact going through the center, and they say you have to put a button on the dashboard, it goes right in the hole there, they are lying, or they are not giving it their all effort to give you a horn. Okay, I have a pretty neat and ingenious idea that I will not reveal just yet. All right, so hopefully this will be a great video and people will be able to use it for many cars with the horn going through the center, as well as just doing it on a 40s car as it is. This is a 1940 Buick Special that I'll be doing this on. And probably going to take a little bit of time, but I already got my my unit right there on the box. And I have to probably call my friend who has a lathe and will help me out with a few things. I may or may not need it. I will see. But let me get to work soon now, and I'll have some more videos. So this is one end of the gear joint setup. Came from the original car. We're thinking about the double D, but then looking at the shaft here. If we put a double D on that, that might not work. We're running out of room here, so we cut down this shaft, and this is where a bearing is going to go. I'm going to put a bearing stopping it in here. I'm going to support it somehow. I'm not sure what bearing yet, but I have one coming in the mail. It may or may not work, and then I'll come back next week and probably modify the rest of this, put the rest of the Nissan shaft onto this shaft. So so far so good. Not the greatest metal to cut, but we're getting a better pass on it now, and then we got to clean up that shoulder and get a bearing on there, and hopefully everything will work out. All right, slight miscalculation of something, so we're trying to make a bushing. Shouldn't be an issue, but basically after we cut down the other piece to 20 millimeter, this is actually bigger. I realize it's not splined, so it's bigger than the splines that it was originally in. The piece in front had the splines. So we'll see if we can fit that in there and make it a little bit tighter than it is. Okay, here's my box, and I still have it turned down to the same place where I cut it. And my friend got a bearing. This is like for a BMW power steering pump, believe it or not. He cut the outside of the bearing a little bit, pressed it all the way in. Alright, so now we got this shaft here that was cut down. Cut down and machined to the inside diameter of that, which is 20 millimeter. This is really shitty metal, so a lot of lines got into it. It seems to be okay for what I'm using it for. And then you have this hole here because I wanted to put something here because this center shaft, so this center shaft I had to cut, and I put a 6 millimeter hole through there, and then what I'll do is when I finally got it set, I will drill a hole through here, and then that will put me in the right place, and that will hold this instead of being all the way at the top of where this used to be. There's not much else I can do with this, you know. It's a little bit messed up over here. I don't know from what, but it is what it is. So what we ended up doing is cutting a piece off this. This was splined, and we cut all the splines off. Right there, you can see there's no splines. And that's why I went with this smooth, you know, I was thinking about double D and all that stuff, but because the particular, let's see, it'd be nice if I prepared before I made a video. It'd be nice if I stripped the floor too. Got a lot of thoughts in my head right now. But, oh yeah, I bolted it on this already. So basically, this is the piece that was on here originally, and instead of going with a double D, because that is a thin-walled piece over there, we just cut it off. And this, I don't think it really needed to be gone. It was a little bit on the loose side, because you have to make it 20 millimeter, because that's the only way I was able to get that bearing down. I mean, if you could find a different bearing that's more like the size of the shaft, which is, this is not a perfect thing at all. This is 13/16, which is 812.8125, and this is 20 millimeter, which is just slightly smaller. So you got to make the whole thing in order to get the bearing on. And we cut this here, you know, we cut this thing in here because the bearing's going to sit on there. And when that other piece goes over, I'm just going to put a bolt through it, because if you can tell, if you try to make a double D with this, it's not as thick as it seems. You know, if this whole thing is 812, which is 13/16, this each side of here is barely a 1/4 inch. So I start making flats here, and then it's getting weaker. So I just assume put a bolt through it right here, and I think it's going to be just fine. You know, we try to make a bushing to take up the space, and then it got too tight. It was too small of a bushing to actually machine. So this is coming along, I want to say, and I was just contemplating everything I was doing here, because I'm figuring out where this shaft has to go. This is much bigger than the Toyota piece I got for the other car I had done, and I like the unit though. It looks like it's going to fit well. I may have to machine this down because the shift rod linkage is going to go in here, you know, going along this. I'm going to make it go along with this realm here. I don't know if I can this really can't be at the top. It's going to have to be angled slightly because I need all the room I can get. So and even it's possible that I can put it straight up, yeah, because this is the lowest point where the rod linkage can go. So this has got to be 12 o'clock, and yeah, so this is going to be off to the side a little bit. I got to get some kind of, you know, C bracket, and I'll weld it to the original tube, something along those lines. Not 100% sure yet, just throwing things around in my head. There's a little bit of gusset right there. I'm probably going to grind that away, and you know, ultimately I'll find a way to make it work, and I can modify the rod. I have a plan in my head to modify the linkage to make it work. Probably other guys have used Saturn Views, and they're probably smaller. This is a really heavy-duty unit. It's probably not even necessary, but this is what I bought. I wanted to try it, and I bought another unit that really, somebody told me that it was smaller than this. I bought a Kia Soul, and this thing is gigantic. I mean, it's literally a monster, you know. So I have one of these. I have the wire coming in over here for the main motor, but the turn-on wire, I think it's on this side, yeah. So I have this wire coming, but I don't have this wire. So it got a little cracked right there anyway. But you can make it. It's just one pin. I think it's that upper left-hand one. I could probably. Oh, it's not broken. That's not damaged. Okay. So basically, it's just one pin there. So I might sell this. I'm not sure. This is the other half that slides on. You would need the shaft out of here. But I like the way, this is kind of like what I did with the Ford. Kind of make two separate units that slide into each other that are independently bearing mounted, you know. So that was pretty cool. That's nice. This guy didn't give me the key with this. Not that I need the key, but you know, it's locked right now. But in any case, I think this is working out. I gotta pick a place where I'm gonna cut this down. The only issue I see is that even though there was a snap ring at the top here, really there's no groove here. It was kind of just you know, hanging on there, because I realized that when you put the shaft through now that there's nowhere to go, that now it has nowhere to stop at the bottom, the shaft just comes right through. So kind of like the Ford, it's like, oh man, you know, so I hate to dig a groove in here and then have it be weaker, but I might actually try to weld a washer on the bottom of it and make like a stop if I can put it in the right place. That's an option. I was thinking about making it a bearing on this side like I did with the bottom piece there, you know, that I'm gonna have right there, you know, that bearing. I don't know if you can see it. I showed it before. Anyway, so that, you know, I didn't want to use the same bearing, but it's obviously the right, you know, size. I guess I could use it, and I have to machine this the same way. But I'm welding a piece on the other side, and it's, you know, this is bigger, so you know that becomes an issue. I thought of the original bearing, and then, you know, cut it here and try to weld it here and permanently mount that bearing just to have something. But I'm probably going to scratch the bearing thing, but I got to prevent it from going, you know, moving around and stuff. What is with this phone? Anyway, I don't know why it's not focusing. A little better. Okay, so now I could what do you call it? I could put it in here and bottom it out. I wanted to leave a little bit of play in the splines, you know, but I might just put, like I did on the other car, put a little spring and put a lot less play than I anticipated. So it works out because, you know, you could technically push down on the upper shaft if there's any play, but if it's really up against it, then it kind of has a binding factor that, you know, if it's not all one piece and if you're making it perfect, you know, so I may just make an aluminum sleeve with this side diameter and then the original column diameter, and have my friend make the difference, and then just put it over with some set screws and keep it at that. That way it stays, you know, in the right place. And like I said, I like to have a little bit of play in the splines, but if I put a heavy spring inside there, perhaps it'll, you know, maybe hold it. I'm not 100% sure. It's not like the other one though, so the spring might fall in here. It may hit it. I don't know. It's just pretty deep, so different things are going through my head. This is a process, you know. But once, now that I get the lower part, I got to put together the steering box, of course. They don't make gaskets for it. I just found out now, so I ordered some Ford gaskets and see if they'll work. If not, I got to make gaskets, you know, cut them out with the roll, you know. But you know, this part, the bottom part came out good, because that's not going to go anywhere. Ultimately, I wanted it straight. I didn't even want it to articulate here. But there's really nothing I can do. It's a weird, you know, size over here. It's like 16.5mm spline. You just can't put a 17mm spline, a size spline with, you know, even though they're both 36, you know. So it has to be, you know, right on the money with this. So this is the best thing I can do, you know. Unfortunately, it adds length to the whole thing. So, you know, I really wanted this as far back as possible, but I think it's still going to be in a good place from everything I did. You know, and I'll see what I do with this. I may scratch the aluminum sleeve part and then just bottom it out, because it's ultimately what I did with the other car. But I got to see, you know, there's always a process to all of this. So I think it's going to come out good. You know, I got to get some kind of, you know, box here, but I don't want it to interfere with the thing, so I may put the box underneath. Not sure how I'm going to do it. May only put it on one side, or, you know, just figure out something that is away from the shift linkage. You know, don't know if I was even thinking about cutting this all off and just using these, you know, there's 2 bolt holes under here and use these instead. Just make some kind of bracket coming off of here, you know. I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. So, and ultimately I want this to be as straight as possible. But it does leave me a little room for playing, but it really can't, you know, because it's going in a straight line up on the column there, so on the upper part. So I think this is a good step so far, and I guess I'll know more as I push on. But I got to ultimately I got to assemble the lower portion here, get the bearing and get that sleeve all, you know, everything's got to be all on and mounted in the car. And once this is mounted in the car and everything's ready to go with this part, then I can get to the rest of it. And it's going to take me some time because I'm busy working and I got, you know, a lot of things I'm doing. So as it is, this video, the earlier part of this video is like over a week ago. So it's going to take me some time, but I figured I'd just post this now to let you know I'm starting this kind of project on this 1940 Buick Special, along with a bunch of other things I'm doing, which I already posted about that. You know, there's a lot of things apart here. I don't want to do AC, and I wanted to do, you know, the new radiator, which is modified. And I got to still kind of modify it a little bit to get it in, and I took out that front grill so I can access everything. I was thinking about making that grill, you know, accessible, you know, like removable from the outside. Part of the bracket I'm making here, you know, Hyundai bracket onto my custom bracket. And it's going slow though. But I'm like, you know what, I got to do this all at the same time, or it's just simply not going to work. Anybody have tips on how to redo a steering wheel? I went $1,300 just to glue this on the outside, and I thought that was ludicrous. I basically just need to make some kind of mold and use epoxy. I don't even care about the color, as long as it comes out somewhat of this Bakelite color here, you know, just plastic epoxy. It's like almost white or yellowish white. But that's, you know, that's all par for the course. It's a little dirty there, but you can see I have a dual master in there. You see that on my earlier videos. I'm very proud of this ignition key. It's just, you know, actually turns like that. Got rid of that whole thing with the gas pedal. And so far so good. Yeah, and that's about it for today.